Right, so I'm Baldwin from Putaruru. We're dairy farmers and we farm with 50-50 share milkers in the South Waikato area. We're just 4 kilometres from Putaruru here. Our home farm is 180 hectares of title, and then we have about 40 hectares of that in various trees and a milking platform of 140 hectares. In addition to that, we're currently on the runoff, which is a 40 hectare support block that we're using for making silage, grazing cows in the winter, and we plant trees on our sidelings. So we're milking 410 crossbred and Friesian cows here with a 50-50 share milker, and we supply Fonterra Cooperative Group on a organics contract. We receive a payment of 20% above Fonterra's base payout, and yeah, that allows us to maximise our milk margins, but also do some quite interesting environmental projects on the farm as part of the organics contract. So our philosophy with land use is to try and match the land that we have with a suitable use that both maximises firstly and foremost financial outcomes, but also is suitable for environmental and animal health outcomes. Here we work our flats really hard, so all of our flat land within the farm is established in really good pasture. We use all kinds of different species, not just ryegrass and clover, but we really try and get healthy pastures, a lot of fertiliser. On our sidelings we plant trees, and firstly and foremost I think we'll make more money out of having trees on our steeper land. Secondly, animals do not do well on steeper land. You think about young dairy heifers walking around on steep sidelings, fall over, break a leg. I've had plenty of that. Mating time's always a bit difficult with animals on steep land, and so yeah, we prefer to keep our animals on the flat. The other obvious thing is protecting soil structure and soil erosion. A lot of animals walking around on the side of steep hills has a risk with erosion and degradation of soil. So here we work our flats hard and we plant trees on our sidelings. Behind me here you can see a crop of 2009 young Acacia melanoxylon, that's blackwoods. Done them a little bit of a snip, got them going, taken out a few double leaders, and they're looking quite good at the moment. I'm pleased with their progress. So in terms of our production on the farm as a result of having trees on the sidelings, our observation has been that we have not really lost much in the way of milk production at all. What we probably have lost is the ability to carry a few dry stock or heifers or carry over cows or other sort of stock classes on the steeper land. That's what we used to do before we had trees on our sidelings. So provided you really work hard, I'm involved in the fertiliser industry, a director of balance. I like fertiliser, it's an important part of farming, so we actually do put a lot of fert on the flats and really try and grow that extra grass. That compensates for the area that you have lost on your sidelings. So overall, there might be a small financial cost in terms of not being able to graze dry stock on the hills, but it's not significant, and we make sure we work our flats hard and keep the milk production high from the good and areas of the farm suitable for dairy production. So one of the other benefits of trees, apart from the commercial and soil conservation aspects of it, is providing shelter and shade for livestock. So we certainly have some shelter belts here on the runoff. We use eucalypt species. We've got some good old plain radiata here for shelter belts. There's no doubt that, you know, we're getting some hot summers here in the Waikato. It's been a great summer this year, but previous years it's been pretty warm, and we certainly do find the cows making available of them, you know, availing themselves of the shade and shelter that's offered by the trees, either in a shelter belt. On our home farm we've planted at 15 metre spacings a whole lot of chestnut trees. They'll be 20 years time seriously big trees. We'll prune them, and that'll give us a timber option, a shelter and shade option, and also, as it happens, chestnuts are quite nice to eat, so there might be a little bit of a benefit there as well. So along with the commercial benefits of trees in terms of timber, protecting the soil and those other good things we've talked about, there's some quite good amenity benefits as well. And one of the things I like doing is thinking about colour and having different species on the farm. Whenever you talk to a real estate agent, they'll always tell you that a farmer's worth more if it is nicely planted up with specimen trees, looks nice compared to a bald old farm with no trees and looking just like it's been sort of raised out. So what you can see here is a couple of species that are really good for colour. Again, I've planted them on the sidelings so that they're not taking up the good flat land. We work that hard. We've got here Larix kempheri, which is Japanese larch. That has a fantastic colour right through the autumn. And what we've also done is in the lower areas of the swampy part of the sideling there, we've put some good old swamp cypress, which is Taxodium disticum. And I'm absolutely certain that in 20 years the sideling here will look magnificent. It's facing the road as cars come past to be able to see the sideling with a really well coloured up forest that looks really good in the autumn. These trees will also be worth a lot of money in terms of timber if we decide to take them out, but colour and amenity I think is an important part of it too. You'll notice there's a lot of heavy thick matted grass throughout the forest we've planted here. That performs a key role in intercepting nutrient runoff. We're in a particularly sensitive part of the Waikato here. There are about 600 of us dairy farmers who farm in the upper Waikato catchment. Everything we release to water up here ends up in the Karapiro Dam where we have global rowing regattas and things. So that mat of grass really does particularly well for intercepting the nutrients. So if cows' dung and urine patches on the pasture, it will run off in rainfall events. It's intercepted by that mat of grass and the trees planted on the sideling, and that helps keep the water clean. It means that the dung and urine, the nitrogen, the phosphorus, the various nutrients that are in that material get intercepted by the thick mat of grass and the trees and doesn't enter the waterway. And we've all got to be a lot more careful with that as both regulators, central and local government, put the pressure on us. Right, so we're looking now at one of our commercial radiata stands. This was planted in 1994 and it was right in the boom time of forestry in New Zealand, where I remember talking to the Minister of Forestry at the time, John Falloon. He said there was 100,000 hectares of radiata went in 1994, and this is some of it here. Again, it's a riverbank area. There's 14 hectares in this stand. We felt that it wasn't going to add a whole lot of value to our heifer grazing or our milking strategy, so it was better off in trees. So yeah, look, the opportunity to do silviculture, it is quite prudent to pace yourself. We've got quite a big block here of 14 hectares. It's part of a lot of other plantings we have, so as a percentage it's probably not too much bigger than 20% of our total trees. But if you do a big block like 14 hectares, you've got to think about the cost, because you can't go too many years without making sure that the thinning in particular happens on time. So usual recommendation would be that it's better to sort of do a few hectares, a few more a couple of years later, and just keep pacing as land becomes available. On the flip side, this particular block will be ready about when my wife and I turn early 60s, and it's sort of looking a little bit like a superannuation strategy. So in one sense, having a lot of trees coming available over time is good for your cash flow. If we want to do something completely different or have a big injection of cash into the farming operation as family want to move into it or take over or do something different, having some big chunks of really high quality 12-metre trees, we'd expect to make some significant money out of this, which can become a superannuation strategy. So just really depends on what your objectives are with your trees. Behind us here you can see a 70 hectare of Carter Holt land that we've purchased. Consistent with our strategy, we take out flat and suitable areas to milk on, so you'll see there some good strong flats going down to the river, and where it's a bit steep we have left the Carter Holt trees. Another thing that we've done on the Carter Holt land is plant a big project of native trees. We like native trees and we do a lot of it for riparian planting on the river, but there's 5 hectares of Agathis australis, the good old New Zealand kauri, that is the king of trees. And I guess the plan there, is there'll be about a 200-year rotation, so I won't be here to benefit, but farm's still in the family. There'll certainly be some magnificent timber there, and in the meantime, it really is quite a good feeling sitting inside the only commercial kauri forest that I'm aware of in our district. So, of course, trees are one of the most versatile things that the botanists and the good Lord have given us to plant on our land. And as well as timber species, which we have a lot of here, we've had a bit of a think about tree crops, and there's a lot of tree crops, and we are members of the Tree Crop Association as well as the New Zealand Farm Forestry Association. We probably go to more farm forestry meetings than we do the tree crops. But behind me here is hazelnuts, and we planted probably about 450 of these in rows along our fence lines. It helps with shade again, it helps with defining the paddocks on the farm, but we'd expect that be quite a good crop of organically certified hazelnuts available in a few years' time. There's also a crop of feijoas. We have 1,400 feijoas on the farm, again all planted in rows. Nice fruit that's worth quite a bit in terms of the juice, and we're not relying on it. It's not in our cash flow, but yeah, nobody minds a feijoa to eat. They're quite pleasant fruit, and they're paying pretty well for organic certified juicing. So we'll see in a few years if that yields something, but it's been a fun project in the meantime. So one of the challenges we have as dairy farmers is keeping our waterways clean, and we all know that the big cooperative Fonterra some years ago signed the Clean Streams Accord with the government and the regional councils, and that's meant that many of us have planted riparian areas on our farms. This area on our place is the Pokai Whenua stream. It's a major tributary of the Waikato River. It enters the main river at Horahora. And so we, in around about 2004, after we purchased the Carter Holt land, got involved in a big riparian planting project. So grateful to the Regional Council, Environment Waikato contributed $14,000 of the cost of doing this. The total cost was around $45,000. Doesn't really matter what natives you have, it's all about fencing off cows, keeping them out of the river, and establishing a nice sort of a corridor of native trees that gives biodiversity and also gives the opportunity for nutrients to be filtered out of our dairying operations and they don't hit the river. So this is probably, I guess, one of the most enjoyable projects that I've done in my time as a bit of a dairy farmer that plants trees. We planted here in 2005 a total of 5 hectares of kauri. Interesting from a botanical point of view, the most southern kauri in New Zealand that is known to exist naturally is on the Kaimai Ranges, and it's on the same latitude as we're standing here today in Putaruru. It's just a little bit further east over by the Kaimai. So I did a little bit of homework and thought to myself, well, if that one kauri, the southernmost one in New Zealand, can grow there, why can't some more grow here? So we've had a go, and as you can see, after now 6-7 years, these trees are doing really well. Our strategy here is a long-term production forest for the family, which may be multiple generations away. I expect these trees to be harvestable in the sort of 150 to 200 year range. Certainly I won't be around, or my kids I guess, but somebody's will, and this will make magnificent timber. I guess there's also an element of adding a whole lot of value to the farm. The kauri is the king of New Zealand trees. It is the one we all talk about. If you come and sit up here, you feel quite special. And yeah, maybe my kids will chuck my ashes around in here one day. You know, it's the sort of place you want to be for the long term. So we're now in a grove of 2 hectares of redwood, sequoia trees. These come out of California and have really adapted very well to New Zealand conditions. I think the redwoods have got a great future, and we've got a small block here close to our house. Great viewing from in the house, looking on the redwood forest. We drive through it on the way. Our visitors all comment on the quality of the redwood trees, and so yeah, this is a nice little project, and it's always handy on Saturday afternoon when you feel like a bit of pruning and a bit of exercise. You just nip down from the house and have a bit of a go at your trees. One of the things that is, as a dairy farmer, we learn off each other, and the dairy industry has a great system of discussion groups. We have our industry body, the Dairy NZ, based in Hamilton, and I've learned a lot from them over the years about milking cows. And the good thing about forestry is there's a similar sort of learning place you can go, and I go to a lot of the meetings of the New Zealand Farm Forestry Association. It's farmers for farmers. Everyone's got a different idea about what trees go well and how you do it and how you make money out of trees. I've heard some people who I don't agree with at the association meetings, but I've learned a real heap of good information and local farmers who actually know what they're talking about. And so that's been helpful to me as I've learnt the art of planting trees, go to the farm forestry meetings. Another benefit we've had from planting the trees is that we like to benchmark ourselves with other farmers, and my wife Marilyn and I were fortunate enough to be the 2009 winners of the Balance Farm Environment Award here in the Waikato. So I guess our tree plantings were part of the reason that the judges saw us favourably. Perhaps the organic certification had a bit to do with it and our riparian things, but to me, the trees here on this farm were the key reason that if I'm called a environmentalist by some people, it's really about my trees, because I think it's great to have good land use, look after a long-term financial strategy, not just sell your milk tomorrow and take your milk payout, but the trees on this farm will add capital value to the farm. They'll add significant value, whether it's for retirement or whether it's a cash flow or over a few years and in times when we start harvesting. We've benchmarked ourselves. That's been helpful in terms of other things we've been able to achieve, winning awards and things. So yeah, very happy to be a proud farm forester and encourage others who have the chance to find a piece of land that really isn't contributing and put some trees on it. Your local branch of NZFFA will help you choose which ones. Get on with it, plant some trees and have a good season.